today we're going to talk about specifically, animals look kind of different. There's a bunch of different animals all over the world. They all look so different. So we're going to see what their purpose is for looking different. There's always a reason. So let's start out with our first guest. Let's see who it is. All right. So this is
He is our American badger, and they get that name because they have some nice cool badges underneath their eyes on their cheeks. Yes, look at that.
So Tonga, like we said, is an American badger. They live on the plains of North America, different places around the country, and they really love to burrow. So they have these, Tonga, you'll see, has those big claws right on his front legs, and that helps him dig and live underneath the ground.
He also has this really cool loose skin on his body that is really helpful for if he were to ever get captured by a predator like a big bear, then he could easily get away from them just because that loose skin is kind of hard to grab onto, and it gives him enough room to reach around and bite the bear and get away.
Yeah. Another thing he does, like we said, he burrows. He also hunts for food in burrows. So other animals that do burrow, he can actually fit into those burrows with his loose skin and chase other animals out. And sometimes he works cooperatively, which means works as a team with other animals like coyotes. And he will chase out a ferret, and maybe the coyote will get it, or maybe he will get it, but someone gets it. Someone gets their food. So North American badgers, you don't see them a lot at zoos. So we at America's Teaching Zoo have a great opportunity of working with Tonga here at our zoo. This is a school, so everyone who works here with the animals, we're all students and we all get to learn. So we get these trainers here, Kevin and Faith, get to work with Tonga and learn about North American badgers. So it's a really great opportunity because he's a really awesome animal.
Yeah, we can go. Thank you. Alright, and we're going to say thank you to Tonga and thank you Faith and Kevin for bringing him out. It was so cool to see him come out.
Yeah. Alright. So Tonga's really cool. He's got his outer covering of his loose skin, which really helps him to defend himself against predators that might want to get him, right? So let's talk about some other outer coverings, some other different animals, because they all look so different, right? So our next guest, you might recognize her. She is, I think she's really cool. What do you think, Brenner?
I think she's super cool as well. So this is Candy Corn. She is our corn snake. And corn snakes kind of get their name from their underbelly. They have these really cool markings that look like indigenous corn. But they can also be found in cornfields a lot, and they help keep those mangy pests out because they do eat lots of rats and mice, so they're really helpful to have around.
Yeah, so they help farmers, which is really cool to have a job like that. A snake. A lot of people are afraid of snakes and they think they're really scary. A lot of people think they're slimy for some reason, but actually they're just covered in those really cool scales. And scales aren't slimy at all. They're made of the same thing as your fingernails and your hair. So if you feel your fingernails, everyone feel their fingernails? That's the same thing. That feels exactly like a snake. So they're not actually that slimy or scary or anything like that. And candy corn is also really nice. What makes candy corn unique is she's actually albino. Excuse me, I forgot the word for a second. She's albino, which means she lacks some of the pigment that a normal corn snake would have. When you guys get to go to our reptile house after the show, you'll see we have another corn snake. His name is Cornelius. And he is a red corn snake, and he's what they would look like naturally in the wild. So it'll be darker red, darker brown. But because she was born as candy corn is her unique self, she is lacking some of those colors. So she doesn't have any color. She's got that white, that little bright orange. So she wouldn't really do well in the wild because she kind of stand out, right? Because she's bright white. And that's how she found her way here with us.
Yeah. Corn snakes are also constrictors. So as you can see, the way that she is holding onto Jasmine's arm. She is constricting, she is wrapping it around her arm just to stay holding on to her. Just like if she would do it to a tree or a branch.
Yeah, and she's not trying to hurt Jasmine. She knows that she can't eat Jasmine because she's pretty small compared to Jasmine, right? So that's just how she holds on and gets around. But when she does catch her food, that is how she catches her food as well. She'll wrap around, and that's how she eats her mice and rats that she'll find out in cornfields. Yeah. You'll also see that she's sticking her tongue out as she's coming around, and she's not trying to be rude, she's not trying to make fun of you. Snakes have this really cool thing called a Jacobson's organ, and when they stick their tongue out, they're grabbing the smells around them and they're bringing it in, and that's how they smell. So everyone stick their tongue out. Can you smell it? Can you smell anything? I can't smell anything. So that's just normal for snakes. They can actually use that organ to smell what's on their left and right. That's why they have the forked tongue. So they can smell, oh, it smells like there's some good food over here, and it smells like there's a scary predator over here. So I'm gonna go this way. So it really helps them out.
Yeah, it's really cool. All right, well, thank you, Jasmine. Thank you, Candy Corn, for coming out.
Yeah. Those snakes aren't that scary.
Wow, they're really cool.
And they're definitely not slimy. I'm not sure where that comes from.
So our next guest uses his outer covering as a house, as his home. So let's welcome out little Joe. Yes, so this is little Joe, and he is our leopard tortoise. Do you guys know why he might be called a leopard tortoise?
Is it because he's super fast like a leopard?
No, he's not super fast. He is pretty slow.
He's pretty slow. Why is he called a leopard tortoise?
Yeah, well, he's actually called that because of the markings on his shell. So he does have a few little spots just like a leopard.
Yeah, so that's why he's called a leopard tortoise.
Yeah.
Just the spots. He's not super fast, as you can see. You might know tortoises are not that quick. You can see his little legs, but he's not that fast.
Yeah, his little stompy legs. He's not so fast. But, they aren't very quick when they're walking around or anything like that. But they can be pretty quick when a predator comes by. They can get inside of their shell. They can fit their whole body inside of there and use it for protection. Because no animal would be able to get through such a hard shell.
Yeah, and like Brenna said at the beginning, this is his home. So a lot of people who've seen, raise your hand if you've seen on a cartoon where a tortoise comes out of their shell. Completely out of their shell. That's not true.
No.
He can't come out of his shell. It's part of him. So he can feel his shell. It is part of him. His ribs and everything are fused to his shell, and he can never take it off because it is a part of him. So just like you can feel when someone's giving you back scratches, he can feel when people are giving him back scratches because that's part of him. Yeah. So he's really cool, and that outer covering protects him because it's super thick and helps him get away from predators that might want to munch down on the tortoise. So how many people saw little Joe and thought, oh, it's a turtle? Right. Actually, like we said, he's a leopard tortoise, and the difference between turtles and tortoises is turtles swim a lot. They have not the stumpy legs that he has, but more like flippers or webbed toes, and he can't swim. So he has those stumpy legs, because those wouldn't really be good for swimming, right? And his shell is round, and turtles, theirs is more flat, so they can get through the water a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
So he may not be an Olympic swimmer, but he can definitely walk pretty quick. Go, 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 go.
I know, you can take it.
Okay, okay.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Deirdre, for bringing little Joe out. Isn't he the coolest? Yay.
All right. So, that's pretty cool. Little Joe has that shell that protects him. So what does our next guest have that's an outer covering that helps protect her?
Well, his shell had keratin in it as well. So here we have Rebel, and she was our African crested porcupine. And as you can see, her outer covering, she has lots of quills. Many, many quills. She actually has up to 30,000 quills.
Okay, everyone, let's keep our voices down. Just like us, she can hear, and it can be pretty loud, and it can be kind of scary when everyone's yelling. So instead of everyone yelling and screaming and being super excited, I know we're all excited, but let's all just kind of like shake it out. Shake it out. We're all so excited. We're shaking it out. There we go. And that can help her feel more comfortable on stage so you can see her for longer. So she'll stay out and you guys can see her.
Yes.
Yeah. So Rebel is super cool. Like Brenna said, she has those quills. And a lot of people think that porcupines can shoot their quills out at predators. Who thinks that? I know I thought that when I first started working here, right? They actually can't shoot their quills out. They do come out, but they can't shoot them out at people.
Yeah, so they just fall out, kind of like when you shed your hair or anything like that, they'll fall out. And if they were ever threatened by maybe a predator, what they would do is they would just pan them out and they would back up really fast into them.
Yeah, they can actually run just as fast backwards as they can forwards. So she can run really fast forwards, but she can also run super fast backwards so she can back into predators and get them with her quills.
Yeah. And as you can see, as she's eating, she is laying down, and that's just so that she doesn't accidentally prick herself with her own quills.
What happens if she pricks herself with her own quills? That's bound to happen, right? She's covered in quills.
Well, she does have this really cool adaptation. Can we all say adaptation?
Adaptation.
She has a really cool adaptation where she has some oil that she secretes, and it's actually antibiotic. So if she were to ever accidentally prick herself with her quills, then she'd be okay. It wouldn't hurt her.
Yeah, so she has like a natural medicine that she makes herself that helps protect her from her own quills. That's pretty cool. Yeah. And just like Tonka, she likes to burrow as well, so she's got those little claws right out the front of her feet. She is pretty little though, she's only around 2 years old, so her claws aren't all the way in yet, but she also likes to burrow. And you might not think this, but Rebel actually is a rodent, just like a rat, just like a mouse. She is part of the rodent family, so she's got that cute little rodent face. It also means that she is an herbivore, so she likes to chow down on veggies. What does an herbivore mean? It means they can only eat vegetables, so she likes to eat corn, yams. Those are kind of her favorite treats. That's probably what she's getting right about now.
Yeah. All right, let's say thank you to Rebel. Thank you.
All right. So Rebel likes to stay on and under the ground. Our next guest kind of stays up high in the trees and in the sky. But before he comes out, just like with Rebel, we're going to shake out our excitement because the quieter we are, the better we can hear him, and the more likely he'll want to stay on stage and see you all. Okay? Can we do that? Awesome. So let's welcome out our next guest.
And this is Mickey.
Like I said, we're going to keep our voices down. You might be able to hear him. So Mickey is an orange-winged Amazon, which is a type of parrot.
You can see he is mostly green, so where does he get that orange from?
So the orange are actually under his wings and on his tail. There you go. You can see that right there. And the reason that he's green and has those orange colors is because where he lives, there's lots of green trees and lots of pretty orange flowers and different colored flowers. So he'll blend in. His adaptation or his outer covering is camouflage. Yeah. So Amazons are parrots, right? So parrots can talk. That's what I know, I think.
Well, they can't talk, but they can mimic.
What does that mean?
So
I'm not sure.
Any sounds that they really like, they will repeat them back to you. And that's called mimicry. So over here, yeah, Mickey knows a few sounds.
So if you stay really quiet while he's coming by, you might be able to hear it. But other thing you might notice about Mickey as he's walking around is he's got those really cool feet, which is another kind of cool adaptation or outer covering, is he's got zygodactylus feet. That's a really big word. Who can say zygodactylus?
Zygodactylus.
Awesome. So zygodactylus just means he's got 2 toes on top, 2 toes on bottom, and it helps him grab onto branches and hang upside down to get his food, because he hangs out a lot in the trees, and sometimes his food can be scattered around. He likes to eat fruits and seeds and nuts, and so up in the trees, if you need to hang upside down, you're going to need a lot of grit. So he's got those zygodactylus feet.
Yeah, so just like she said, it could help him just reach any of that low-hanging fruit or anything like that that he can't reach.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much,
Thank you so much,
Nikki.
Nikki, for coming out.
Yeah.
Remember, we're so very quiet. Thank you, Nikki.
All right, so we've gone underground, we've gone above ground, so what's next?
Water.
Water.
Now we're just going to go back to the ground, but very low to the ground. Very small. And I think we're going to go get them.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so we're getting really low to the ground with these guys. So, I know a lot of people aren't a huge fan, so just keep your voices down, but we have Madagascar hissing cockroaches.
So like she said, they say Madagascar hissing cockroach. So they are called a hissing cockroach because they make this cool hissing sound from the spiracles on their back. So they don't only just breathe through there, but they also make sounds. So if we all stay really quiet, one hiss is not very loud. You don't really hear it that well. But if we all hiss together, and I want you all to do it with me, then it sounds a little bit like a snake. So it's like this. So if we all hiss. I'll hear some of you in the back hiss. We all have to hiss together.
There we go.
Oh, wait. Do we leave candy corn out?
I don't think so. Oh, wait. It's... Alright,
Sure?
so it does sound a lot like a snake. With, imagine 150 or more of these guys hissing all at once. That sounds like a lot of snakes, or maybe just one really big snake.
Yeah.
Right?
So if any of their predators were around, they would hear that sound and they would think it was a snake and they would stay away from them. So they have a really cool adaptation.
Yeah.
Another really cool thing that they have is their outer, it's an exoskeleton, which really helps them if they were to ever fall. They have this really hard shell, outer shell, that helps them. It's like an armor.
Yeah, so these guys, instead of having skeletons on the inside like we do, like with our bones, they have an exoskeleton, which means it's just on the outside. Their skeleton's on the outside of them. So if they're climbing up a really big tree and they happen to fall, they'll be okay because they've got their skeleton on the outside.
But they do also have these really sticky feet. Very sticky little spines on there that helps them stick onto my finger, kind of like Spider-Man.
Yeah, so these guys are
So
so
he's not
good
gonna
at
fall.
climbing that they can actually climb up glass. Have you guys ever tried to climb up glass before? It's really hard. But these guys are